So what if there were a list of, say, 10 easy things that you could do or focus on every single day that would virtually guarantee that you would lose weight and keep it off forever? Sounds pretty good. Well, guess what? Today's your lucky day. What's up, guys? So this video is about 10 things that I do every day with my clients to help them get the results that they get and then help them keep those results forever. I called this video Everyday Weight Loss Secrets, but they're really not secrets at all. These are simple things that you can do starting immediately that will virtually guarantee that you're gonna get great results and that you're gonna keep those results pretty much forever if you do these consistently on a daily basis. So let's jump right into them. The first one is a low-hanging fruit that I mentioned in my last video, and that is you don't want to drink your calories. This one is so simple. If you have calories in your diet that you're drinking in the form of sugary pops, your Starbucks drinks, juices, electrolyte solutions like Gatorades and Powerades, pretty much anything that has calories, the first thing you could do to start spurring your results is to replace those with calorie-free versions. Now, you do want to drink a lot of water every day too. You want to try to get around 100 to 125 ounces of good, clean, uncaffeinated water, and you can flavor that water and you can even add electrolytes to it if you want in the form of maybe some Himalayan salt. That will help you to make sure that you have both water and electrolytes as you go throughout the day, especially if you're really active or if it's really hot outside. But I don't want you to obsess over this. I don't want you to worry about, I hear a lot of people talk about, well, I shouldn't drink Diet Pop because it has artificial sweeteners in it. I can tell you right now that drinking a Diet Pop with artificial sweeteners in it is gonna be way better than drinking the regular pop that has all that sugar in it, okay? So think of everything on a spectrum, okay? If Mountain Dew is over here on one end of the spectrum and plain unflavored water is over here on the other end of the spectrum, then you don't need to jump straight from Mountain Dew all the way to unflavored water. To be honest, I'm never gonna make that jump because I can't stand drinking plain unflavored water. Instead, if you go from drinking Mountain Dew to Diet Mountain Dew with artificial sweeteners and you're eliminating all of those calories and all of that sugar, you just jumped way higher on the spectrum immediately. Then you can start worrying about eliminating the artificial sweeteners and drinking, say, like a flavored sparkling water that's naturally sweetened, or using water flavorings that are naturally sweetened with things like stevia. But we don't have to worry about that right now. So just replace the things in your diet that are beverages that have calories in them with calorie-free versions. Do that first, and that's gonna be a huge step in the right direction for eliminating all those unnecessary calories and kickstarting your weight loss journey. So that's number one, don't drink your calories. And the other thing I would say about that real quick before we move on to number two is that you wanna give yourself probably a week or two for your taste buds to adjust to moving from normal beverages that have calories in them and are sweetened with sugar to beverages that are calorie-free and sweetened with either zero-calorie natural sweeteners like stevia or artificial sweeteners. It's gonna take about a week or two for your taste to adjust. So the first few days, you may not really like what you're drinking, but by the time you get to the end of 2 weeks, you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference. So give yourself a good 2-week period, give it a college try and get through that period, and you won't be able to tell a difference anymore. Number two on the list is one that I already mentioned in my last video, but I'm gonna mention it here again because it's super duper important, and that's that you wanna stick to whole foods predominantly in your diet, especially if you're losing weight. But it's still a good strategy to do long-term just to maintain good health and make sure that you keep your weight off. The awesome thing about whole foods is that they really fill you up. They keep you satiated for a long time when you eat them. They actually make you feel like you're eating more food when you're actually eating less calories while getting all of the nutrients that you need. So they're awesome for that reason. They're also really a lot easier to measure to make sure that you know how much you're getting versus processed foods where they're very calorie dense, and a slight mismeasurement with a processed food could be a large difference in calories versus a whole food. So whole foods are safer. They allow you to feel like you're eating more food when you're actually eating less calories, and they have a lot more nutrition and nutrients and vitamins and minerals than processed foods do. So you want to stick to those predominantly. Now, I don't want to take a really long time in this video to list out all of the examples of whole foods when it comes to proteins and fats and carbs, but basically what I'll do is I'll just throw a list up on the screen of each of these categories real quick and just give you a few examples. So your proteins, you're looking at a lot of your meats like your chicken, your pork, your steak, your turkey, your fish, things like that. With carbohydrates, you're looking at predominantly your starchy vegetables and your fruits. And then with fats, you're looking at nuts and seeds and things like that. So as I'm talking here, I'll make sure that those 3 lists pop up on the screen, and you can just hit pause and write all those down or take a screenshot of them on your phone so you'll have those lists with you. But those are the foods that you predominantly ultimately want to stick to when it comes to your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. So stick to whole foods. You'll feel way more full. You'll eat more food, or you'll at least feel like you're eating more food. You're actually eating less calories, and that will go a long way toward helping you reduce your calories without feeling hungry all the time. So that's number 2. Number 3 is you want to have a plan, okay? Now, a plan is something that is going to give you structure and allow you to start to breed consistency in your diet. Now, when I say a plan, what I mean is you should know how often you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, how to portion those foods. You should have some idea of what you're going to eat every day ahead of the time that you're actually going to eat it. Now, sure, you could go through every day and just wing it, right? And just make it up as you go. But we all know that when you're just winging it and you're making things up as you go, chances are you're going to make mistakes or you're going to make poor choices when if you were prepared, you're much more likely to make a choice that supports your actual goals. So having a plan allows you to start breeding consistency, and that consistency makes it much easier that when you are not making progress or if you plateau, if you've been very consistent following some kind of a plan, then it's easy to know where you need to make adjustments if you're not seeing results. But in the absence of a plan, if you're just winging it every day, then it's going to be very difficult for you to figure out if you're not getting the results that you want, or if you're plateauing for some reason, it's going to be impossible for you to know exactly what's causing that problem and where to make a change. So number 3, you need to make sure you have a plan. This is one of the first things that I do and that I give my clients as soon as they start my coaching program, is I give them a framework to work within that allows them to start being consistent, have a plan, and be successful. And the most important thing is that once they start experiencing, or if they start experiencing a plateau, some people never do, but if they do start experiencing a plateau or a lull in their results, we know exactly what is causing the problem and we know exactly where we can make adjustments. So have a plan. Number 4 on the list is a big one, and that is about variety. The truth is that less variety is better. And in our program, we use the saying, boring is successful. So the more boring your diet is, likely the more successful it will be. Now, what I mean by that is if you have, say, 1 to 3 breakfast options that you like to stick to and you're really consistent with those breakfast options, and you have 1 to 3 lunch options and 1 to 3 dinner options and maybe 1 or 2 snack options, and those are your go-tos. That's like your menu that you eat all the time. You have enough in that menu to have variety, but it's so consistent that you know exactly how to make it and you can make it exactly the same way every time. If you're eating out, you have only a handful of places that you go and you know exactly what you're going to get, and those places are very consistent at making those things. Now we're starting to have a reasonable amount of variety in your diet, which means that if you have problems, it's going to be very easy to identify where the problem is, just like we talked about in the last point, so that you can make changes. But on the other end of that spectrum, if you're eating out every day at a different restaurant, and if you're trying different recipes every single day, then if you're not getting results, and if you're not experiencing the type of progress that you want to experience, and you're running into a plateau, if you have all this variety and all these variables in your diet, it's going to be almost impossible for you to figure out what the problem is and make changes. So less variety is better. Boring equals successful. Remember, you're trying to lose weight. If you're watching this video, I assume you're trying to lose weight. You have a goal, you have a mission. If you can reduce the amount of variety in your diet for just a time so you can get to your goal, then you can have all the variety you want once you're in maintenance. So less variety is better, boring is successful. Have a menu, have a plan, stick to it. Number 5 on the list, I think we're at number 5. We'll go with it. Number 5, limit yourself to 2 to 3 servings total of carbohydrate or fat every day. So that means that you can have 3 servings total. You could have 3 carbs, you could have 3 fats, you could have 2 carbs and 1 fat, you could have 2 fats and 1 carb. Doesn't matter, but 3 total combined servings of carbohydrate or fat on a daily basis. I recommend that you limit yourself to that if you're over 150 pounds trying to lose weight. If you're under 150 pounds trying to lose weight, you might want to go to just 2 combined servings of carbohydrate or fat. This is something that we do with our clients in our program, and it is extremely successful. The reason for this is because your body has a capacity for how much fuel that it needs, and when we exceed that capacity, right, that limits our progress and can actually cause us to gain weight. We've figured out through coaching a lot of people that 2 to 3 servings a day for most people keeps them within that capacity so they can actually keep losing weight consistently. So limit yourself to 2 to 3 servings combined of carbohydrate or fat every day, and you get bonus points, big, huge bonus points if you confine those carbs and fats to your meals and you don't snack on carbs and fats between your meals. I'll talk about this a lot more in another video, but this is super important. Have your carbs and your fats with your meals where you're also having protein and vegetables. And this is something I talked about in my last video, which I definitely recommend you watch because I really break down that structure. But stick to your carbs and fats in your meals and don't snack on your carbs and fats. So 2 to 3 total servings every day. Keep them with your meals. All right, got it? Moving on. Number 6 on the list is, if you can, you want to confine your carbohydrates to the most active part of your day. So if you're really active at work, you're up, you're moving around, you're on your feet, whatever it is you do, or at school, or at ball practice, or whatever you're doing throughout the day, when you're being active, your body has more of a need for fuel like carbohydrate. And here's the thing about carbohydrate that a lot of people don't know is that carbohydrates and starches and sugars serve no real benefit to the body, no real role in the body except for fuel, versus something like a fat where it's used for fuel. Fats are used for fuel, but they're also used for a lot of other things in the body, versus carbohydrates that are only used for fuel. There's no other use for carbohydrates in the body but for fuel. So when we're active, we're much more tolerant of those carbohydrates. We actually need those fuels. But when we're being less active, like when we're in the Netflix mode in the evening and we're just sitting on the couch and we're lounging around, we're not being active anymore, we're getting ready for bed, that's not the time that you want to eat your carbohydrates. If you're eating carbohydrates during those times where you're being really inactive, or if it's just a lazy Sunday and you're not doing anything, your body doesn't need those fuels at that point in time. And by eating those fuels during those times where you're being really lazy, you're really limiting your results, and you're also increasing the chance or the likelihood that you're actually gonna spike your weight up or gain weight. So try to confine your carbohydrate intake specifically to times where you're being active, because there's really no other use in your body for carbohydrates other than for fuel. And if you're not being active, you don't really need the fuel. So confine that to your most active days. All right, moving on. For number 7 on the list, we're moving into talking about activity and exercise. So the first thing that you want to do when it comes to activity and exercise on a daily basis is try to work your daily steps up to a goal of 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Now we use 8,000 steps a day in our coaching program, and that seems to be really effective. It's enough steps every day to burn extra calories and to move the needle toward their goal, but it's not so many steps that people have a hard time achieving it and sustaining it. So 8,000 steps is what we do. 10,000 steps would be better, but 8,000 steps is fine. The main idea here is that you want to be as active as possible, whether it's steps or riding a bike or whatever it might be. The more active you are, the more calories you burn, and the more you're shifting the equation of calories out versus calories in the right direction. So we're creating this nice calorie deficit that will allow you to lose weight. So you want to be as active as possible. Try to prioritize your day so that you actually have time to get up and move around and be active, go on walks if you want to, whatever it takes to get those steps in. But that is a huge, huge, huge part of not just getting weight off, but keeping weight off in the long run. And it's also great for things like blood sugar regulation as well. So work your way up to 8,000 steps a day. More is good, less, try to keep working toward that 8,000 step goal, okay? Next one, you definitely have to have a component of strength or resistance training in your regimen. Now, strength or resistance training is so important, and a lot of people I think miss this because they simply don't understand why it's important. The reason that strength and resistance training is so important is that it stimulates your bone and your muscle in such a way that as you're losing weight, if you're doing strength and resistance training and stimulating your bone and your muscle, your body's not going to let go or to lose a lot of muscle mass in the process of losing a lot of weight, which means that you're going to keep your metabolism healthy as you lose the weight. It also means that you're going to be more toned and stronger and feel better when you ultimately get to your goal weight, which is what you want, right? So you definitely want to make sure that at least 3 days a week, you are implementing some kind of strength or resistance training into your program, okay? It's super important. Another thing that people don't realize about resistance training is that even if your weight's not going down on the scale, when you resistance train and strength train, it actually really helps to pull fat from your visceral organs around your midsection. So you're actually going to probably lose inches, even if your scale isn't moving, which is pretty cool as well. Number 9 is you've got to make sure you're getting enough sleep. If you want to know the number one way that you can increase your results the fastest, it's getting enough sleep and prioritizing your sleep. If you also want to know the number one way that you can sabotage your journey and prevent yourself from losing weight, neglect your sleep. okay? When we neglect our sleep, our stress hormones go up, our hunger and cravings go through the roof. We start craving things like sugars and sweets and things like that a lot more when we're doing that. And our ability to deal with stress goes way down. We're easily frustrated, we can't concentrate, it's just a mess. You don't wanna combine all those things together. It's like a perfect storm for not achieving your weight loss. I've seen people completely turn their weight loss journey around just by focusing on their sleep and making sure that they're prioritizing getting to bed, getting enough sleep, and getting up at the right times. So this is a non-negotiable when I talk to my clients. We've got to get enough sleep, and when you don't get enough sleep, it's going to make it nearly impossible for you to get the results that you want to get. So make sure you're trying to prioritize your sleep to get about 8 hours of sleep a night. 7 is a minimum, but 8 is really ideal. Number 10 is kind of sort of a repeat, and that is that you've got to make sure you're getting enough water. It's not just about eliminating your calories from your beverages, it's also even more important to make sure you are getting enough work and that your body is actually hydrated. And in order for your body to actually be hydrated, in order to perform functions like weight loss properly and allow you to look, feel, and function your best, you have to have both enough water and enough electrolytes at the same time. So you want to make sure that you're really striving for that 100 to 125 ounces of water a day, and you have to make sure that you're getting electrolytes as well. And that's a bit of a touchy subject in that, you know, there's a bit of a stigma with salt intake in the health and the medical community today, especially with folks who have a history of blood pressure issues, heart issues, things like that. Doctors will normally tell you to reduce your salt intake. So I understand this is a touchy subject. I'll probably do a whole nother video on this at some point in time, but in the meantime, just make sure you're getting enough water and understand that if you're drinking a lot of water and you're still retaining a lot of water and you still feel like crud and you don't have the energy that you need, it may be because you're not getting enough electrolytes, and that might be something that you want to have a conversation with your doctor about to make sure that you haven't gone too far in the wrong direction in reducing your salt intake too much, okay? So that's number 10, make sure you're getting enough water. I can't stress this enough. These last two are really super important. If you are dehydrated and you're not getting enough sleep, then you could be doing everything else right on this list, and those two things might ruin your results. So do those things, actually make these last two things the priority, getting enough sleep and getting enough water, and then really dial in the other things on this list, and I virtually guarantee you are going to have incredible progress. Our clients typically lose, on average, between 3 and 4 pounds per week in the first 4 to 6 weeks of their program because they're doing these simple things on a daily basis and because we're holding them accountable to doing those things and getting them dialed in very quickly. So I have no doubt that if you look at this list and you rewatch this video and you do some planning and you do some prioritizing in your life, you're going to be able to take these things, implement them, and have some really great results. If you guys have any questions about any of these, please put them in the comments below. Let me know. And if you like this video, if any of this was helpful, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button so you get notifications for our next video, and hit the like button on this video as well. Again, we're gonna be doing tons more videos. I'm gonna be doing and breaking down a lot of these topics in a lot more detail as we move forward. So if you have specific topics that you wanna hear me talk about or you wanna learn about, please comment in the comments below and let me know if you liked this video and if it was helpful. Other than that, if you guys need coaching, if you have questions about coaching, or if you feel like you just really want someone to walk you through this weight loss process, then you can contact me via the email in the description below, coaching@chronichealthclub.com, and I'd be happy to set up a time to meet with you and talk to you. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys here soon in the next video. Take care, love you all, bye-bye.